Euro- European Union to integrate them with the mainstream society, especially in Europe. Some efforts are being made by some countries, but not of equal nature in all European countries. So I'm really happy to see to welcome our speaker today. And now I request Jamir to introduce our speaker. Jamir.
Yes, thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. And thank you, Dimitri, for accepting our invitation.
Yeah, please introduce the speaker.
Jamir, kindly unmute yourself.
Jamir, yes, unmute yourself.
Yeah, yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, Dimitri Gomez, and thank you very much for accepting our invitation to deliver this very important lecture. And hello to everyone, and thank you for joining this 8th virtual lecture of the lecture series that meant to explore and examine the diversity in the Romani communities and their challenges and prejudices. So, as we know that the Roma community has a very intricate, structure, which is not homogeneous, and that community is characterized by a hierarchical group structure on a different levels. So the diversity of Roma community is a complex one, as followed myriad migratory routes, and from India, especially Kannauj and Mathura and other northern part of India to Ghazni, Khorasan, northeastern Iran, from where they were joined by Seljuks.
Maybe we can't hear you.
Are you able to hear me, sir?
Yes, you are quite audible. There's no problem.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay.
So they were joined by Seljuks and moved towards Baghdad in Iraq, Ani in Armenia, Manzikert in Byzantine Empire, and subsequently reached the edge of Europe in the 15th century. And the largest Roma community is, as we know that, that's a Ruska Roma, those who are living in Russia, who entered a Russian Empire in the 16th and 17th century, and coming from Germany through Poland and Lithuania. So that is the migratory, and there are a lot of other migratory routes, but I cannot dwell upon this because our speaker is going to deliver the lecture on this particular subject. So as it is also very clear that there is a clearly divided groups of Roma. Some may not even intermarry, but these divisions are mainly along the lines of the territories where they live in. And one can find the subgroup divisions like Polska Roma living in Poland, Latvika Roma living in Latvia, and Laloritke Roma living in Estonia. And Galaxy Roma, that's the very, that is also very largest group of Roma communities, mainly moved from Romania and settled across the world. So, and there are other Romani subgroups like Sinti, Kaldaresh, Gurbet, and Luvara, and so on and so forth. So despite these, the explicit divisions and diversities, this community is united, and they are aware of that they belong to the one community, they have the same single origin. So that is that these social bearings and values establish analogy with India. As we know that the unity in the diversity is a beauty and the test of our Indian civilization. So this goes the same with the Roma community. Because despite all these territorial, despite all these divisions and diversities, they are united, either through their shared culture and their language, Romanes. So that shows and reflects the typical Indian, the cultural values and the cultural, the features and attributes. So I don't want to go further. I don't want to speak more because we are very much interested in listening to our speaker today. We have the speaker, Mr. Dimitri Gomez, who is making tremendous contributions to inclusive, decolonized, and intersectional discourse. He made a lot of very tremendous and very, the excellent and wonderful contribution to this discourse. He fought for the Roma rights, and he is the trainer and served as a trainer in a different prestigious institutions and organizations, like a few to mention, like the Council of Europe, European Commissions, and other different international organizations, which are working for the racialized activism and fight against the xenophobia, racism, and anti-fascism. These are the very common phenomena with the community. So, Dimitro, we are excited to listen to your very insightful and illuminating lecture. So before that, I would like to call upon Sajdeva sir, please, because before to take this session forward.
Thank you, Jamir, for introduction of our speaker. Thank you, Jamir, for the introduction of our speaker, as well as on the diversity which the Romani community has. Now I request Mr. Shyam Prande to deliver the welcome address. Shyam Prande ji.
Yeah. Now say good evening and good afternoon, because we are spread across Europe and India. I welcome you all to this 8th lecture of our monthly lecture series, and I'm glad that we are listening to Mr. Gomez, an expert, and at that he's an expert with experience. So we'll have a great evening today to listen to him. And the topic, as everybody is talking about, is diversity amongst the Roma communities. As a matter of fact, I would like to state here, we being in Delhi, being in India, have the widest diversity world over. India is known for its diversity, and India is known for being together. This happened over the ages, over the millennia, because India had been living diversity harmoniously. We don't homogenize people. Everybody has his own, or every community has its own tradition and culture, and they surely will like to lead life with that. And we value that. We see that the culture pervades all the diversities. The diversities bring us together because we believe the whole creation is one. Since the Vedic times, we had been talking about that. And the diversity we experience in nature, in environment, it's similar to that. So we have learned this from the environment, that we need to live together with the diversity, respect diversity, and live diversity. Having said that, Antarrashtriya Sahyog Parishad every month is organizing this lecture, and beyond that has organized a couple of conferences in India, as well as has participated in conferences in Europe. Roma is a subject that is dear to us. We firmly believe that Roma community has originated from Bharat, India, and have migrated over last 2000 years. Somewhere down the history, we have lost the connect that we are re-establishing. And we are now establishing departments and centers for Roma studies in universities, as well as Antarrashtriya Sahyog Parishad. Our organization has the center, which is supported by Indian Council of Cultural Research, which is governed by External Affairs Ministry. And I look forward to meeting you all, listening to you all, and try to establish all these relationships very well and connect both the ends. We'll have to work hard for establishing this, and we'll do it together. The Roma brethren spread across the Western countries as well as Australia, and of course the Indians over here from India. We need to be working hard to prove that Roma originated from India and has a great connection re-established. Looking forward to listening to the lecture from Mr. Gomez. Thank you very much. Namaste.
Thank you very much, Shyamji, for this welcome address, and also touching upon diversity, which is in India among various, and also touching upon our connection with the Roma communities. Now I request our speaker, Mr. Demetrio Gomez, to deliver his lecture on the topic of diversity in Romani communities, challenges and prejudices. The floor is yours, Mr. Gomez. Please go ahead. Mr. Gomez, you will have to unmute yourself. Yes, Mr. Gomez, the floor is yours. We look forward to your address. Please go ahead.
जमीर, आप उनको अनम्यूट करो कंट्रोल से.
Mr. Gomez, you will have to unmute yourself. We can't hear you.
It's okay. You can hear me. Sorry.
Yeah, now it's okay.
Yes,
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Gomez, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. First, thank you very much for inviting me to this conference, for speak with you, and for establish the relations with India, because it's like the mother of the Roma in some sense. I'm sorry for my English, it's not my native language, and I can do some mistakes in my explanation. I'm so sorry. Okay, when we speak about diversity in the Roma community, we speak about something essential, like you say before, because India is diversity, but the Roma community is diversity too. This diversity is starting in the moment that this group exists out of India with different people from India that do the constitution of this group. Okay, it's for this we have in the beginning diversity for the different precedents in this group Romani. This is the first. After, when we are starting with the migrations, we have a little migrations that is the group Egyptians is the name. It's in the Balkans. This group is family of the Roma, but these people don't speak Romanes and is not identified like Romani people too in the Balkans. We have one diversity in the beginning of the group. After, when we are starting to establish in a different countries, we are starting to have another difference. Okay, we are not nomadic people. We are population in mobility. This is different, like the conception in general. Okay, nomadic is when it's part of your culture. We are in mobility because we are refused in the spaces, and for this we need migrate all the time here in Europe. in these establishments in different countries, we're starting to have little difference in the group. Why? Because we take the culture of the territory with, well, we going, okay? The Romani people that arrive to Spanish take some parts of the culture of Spanish. The people that arrive to Italy or France or Russia or Latvia are starting to take some characteristics from this culture, autochthon culture, okay? Thus establish a little difference first. The other difference that we have in Europe is the jobs. It's depend of the job. You are in one group or another. This is another factor for taking consideration in the question of the diversity. And after, the other question that we need to take in consideration for understand this big diversity in the Roma community is because the anti-Gypsyism. For the anti-Gypsyism, some groups of Roma people need migrate inside of Europe. And these people go to other countries. What is the situation? We have some Roma that living some 100 years in one territory, and after another Roma from Europe arrived to this country. And these people is the new people Roma in this country. And for this, we have sometimes 4, 5, 6 groups, different groups of Roma in the same country with a very real difference intergrupos. We have different examples for this division. In other countries, in other places, we have a division for the lowers. Okay, for example, in Romania, we have a very big differentiation. One differentiation is for the people that work like a slave, 200 years like a slaves, and you have the other people that don't work like a slave. Is the people that is rebels, that living in the mountains for conserve the culture, the language, etc. Okay, this is when we can see that big diversity in a different communities. And it's something very complex understand this diversity and these different groups, because we have these 3 factors. First, the country that take this population. Second, the work, the job of these different groups. And 3, the time of arrive to this country. This is 3 factors that are starting to do the difference for a different Roma groups. This is in general. After this, for the different territories and for the influence, we have a different Romani dialects. It's not only it's only one language, but after we have some dialects. The dialect Serbo-Croat, for example, in the Balkans, or Decalo in Spain, or Cinto in another countries. This is another point of the difference. Sometimes these divisions do some difficulties for do a union of the Roma people, because sometimes some Roma thinking that is more Roma than the other people. Why? For example, in Spanish, in Spain, we don't speak Romanes for the interdictions, for the persecutions. And sometimes, for example, we are not considered like Roma for other Roma because we don't speak Romanes, for example. Sometimes the people from Spain not considered so much Roma the people that arrive for other countries, because it's the other traditions or other perceptions, and sometimes it's a little bit difficult understand that we are a very big nation, that we are the same, and that we need work in union. Sometimes this is something very difficult, and I think it's true because we don't learning the history of the Roma people in the schools or in the university for understand that we are a very big nation with 12 million of persons inside. This is for me one part of the diversity. After, we need to speak about what is the influence of the anti-Gypsyism in the self-representation of the Roma people, because this is very important too. The stereotypes and prejudice in the majority society sometimes is something that touch very strong the Roma community, because starting to accepting these stereotypes and prejudice like identity. This is one effect of the colonialism. When we are starting with this position, because the Roma people is persecuted and need reaffirmate her identity, her self-identity, sometimes we identify some prejudice like a values inside of the Roma community. For example, in the acceptation of the women liberation, or acceptation of different sexual orientations inside of the Roma community. This is something that in this moment we are starting to touch and debate and explain very deep, and it's a point very important in this moment, more for the young people in this moment, because we're living in some societies. In these societies, we're starting to have some civil rights, and we are as citizens, and we have these rights too. The problem is in what point the tradition and these values are starting to have a difficulties for understand one part and the other. It's not a question of modernity or tradition, it's a question about the values, about the universal values, human values, okay? And when you speak about this diversity, this necessity for living together in the and respect this diversity, for me is very important. This example of India, we can have different perceptions, we can have different histories, but in the end, we are exactly the same. We are Roma. We are the Romani nation. The Romani nation have diversity from the beginning. For these things that I explained before, the time of arrival, the jobs, the etc., and to this other diversity, that is this diversity like individual. I am Roma, but I am one individual too, and I have my diversity, my self-diversity too. If this self-diversity is not against the Roma nation, it's because we are individual and particular, and we have to different religion, different orientation, different ideas, etc., etc., etc. Because the idea for the majority society is do one uniformity for the Roma people, like we are all 12 millions the same. This is not like this. This is one stereotype. This is one idea for do some monolithic image about the minorities, but the minorities, we are diverse. Diversity is not only one privilege for the white people or for the power people. Diversity is some normal and human valor. This is my explanation about this question of diversity. I make the diversity inside of the Roma communities, but the division, diversity too, in this moment, respect the old ideas, or what is the new challenges in this moment for the Roma community, because we can to be like a fossil culture. If we are a fossil culture, we are missing. Because it's not possible to be adapted to the new moments, to the new situations, if we don't have evolution. And evolution is something that is normal too in all culture. We don't have any culture that is static, that don't move, that don't introduce the new values, or is adapted to the new situations. And it's in this moment, I think the challenge is this. In one part, do the union of the Roma people, understand that we are a nation, understand that we need to be together and fight together the situations. This is one. For me, the other question is don't take the stereotypes or prejudice from the majority society like self-values. It's a little bit like Pygmalion syndrome, when the people repeat all the time that you are like this, you are like this, you are like this. In one moment, you are starting to think, okay, I am like this. If this is something that we need starting to work, I think it's very important that the Roma culture, tradition, language, etc., is inside of the schools, is inside of the university. And really, the Romani people, we need to know what is the history, what is the connection with India, for what we are a nation. What is this feeling of Romi Pen? Explain it well, what is Romi Pen? And explaining that this identity, or to be Roma, is not exactly to be like all equal or with any difference. No, we need this diversity for to be one culture more rich, more advanced. I think this is a little bit my idea about diversity. In this moment, the other challenge too is included these civil rights inside, and respect these civil rights. It's not possible refuse the people for the orientation. It's not possible put the women in a situation of terrible situation because we don't accepting the free of these rights to go to the school or another more. I think this is in this moment these challenges, no? Starting to thinking the form of do this union, one, and second, introduce these civil rights inside of the perception or inside of the culture. Right? We are in constant evolution. I don't know if somebody have some question or something. Sometimes it's difficult the video conference for now. What is the impressions for the people that listen? You have some questions or about what I say? Yes? Nothing? Okay. But for me in this moment, if you want now, what is the form?
No, Mr. Gomez, we can have
Yes?
the question answers after your lecture at the end. So you may wish to continue and we will have answers.
Okay. Okay, the only thing that I need to say for finish is that in this moment we're starting to be more organized. We are starting to have a new forms of union in Europe. I think the role of the young people is very important for this change. We are starting to have a lot of young people that is educated, that are starting to arrive to the high school, etc. This is something very important because these people are starting to do a new images, a new ideas in the Roma community. We were starting to be more open for a new forms of organization. In this moment, for example, the youth women, it's a very powerful movement that is very active, and I think it's more constant, like the main organization, the traditional main organization. I think the women are starting to be more creative, are more constant in her work. In another part, the question of the sexual orientation, LGTB community inside of the Roma community is starting to be something important too. In the past, it's like something taboo speaking about these questions, but in this moment, we start to have very organized associations, and we work too for the question of the tolerance of these questions inside of the Roma community. And I need to see that in this moment, the Roma community is very much open to these questions, and is the more and more accepted inside of the Roma community, this kind of things. And for me, this is something that is good. For this that I say before, what we are not a fossil culture. We are not for to be in the museums, for the people coming to see this old culture. No, we are a life culture. We're living in this century. We are in this society. We are citizens in the societies, and it's for this that we need to take this active part. It's not possible to be all the time like we are. I don't know, something for the National Geographic that coming and take pictures. No, we are mothers. We are in this society. We are not something from the past. We are something that is just in this moment, that need take the rights, that need to take this union for fighting the anti-Gypsyism, that need have these links with India for remember what is the beginning, and because it's in the end we need this composite, this history that for the a lot of Roma ignored. A lot of Roma ignored what is her history, what is the origin of the language, for what we are this form of organization that is very similar to some groups in India too. And this is something that is part of the general culture. When you arrive and you are starting to have more culture, you're starting to be more proud of your self-culture. You can identify what is the importance of your culture, what is the importance of your language, what is the importance for establish these links with India or with other Roma for other parts in the world. Because just in Spain, we are only one group. We are Calo, only Calos. We don't have so much exchange with other Roma communities. This is something very strange and particular in Europe, because the other countries all the time have this exchange with other Roma communities. But in Spain, it's something very particular, especially in Spain. We don't speak Romanes, for example. We have only some words in the middle of the Spanish language that we use for protection, but only some words. We don't have one dialect exactly in Spain, for example, and we need to recuperate this the Amarichip. We need to recuperate too a lot of part of the history that we don't have, because the history of the Roma people is the other people that say about, that writing about, but we are agraph, we don't writing. It's the other people that say about the Roma, but it's not never the Roma speaking about herself. No, it's in this moment is something that we're starting to change to, because we're starting to have these university teachers, these people that is more educated. And in this moment, we're starting to have one literature, we're starting to have scientifics, we're starting to have the people that can speak in first voice what is the situation. It is very, very, really important. And I think it's historical in this moment, because we don't have before this possibility of write, of have literature, of participate in the political of the countries. For example, in this moment, for example, in Spain, we have 3 deputies in the government. This is something very important for the defense of the culture, for the destruction of the anti-Gypsyism. But it's true that we have a lot of difficulties too, because in Europe, starting to be more powerful, the ideas of the racist ideas. The situation for the Roma people in Europe is not something well, more in the times of COVID. In the times of COVID, we have a lot of fake news that signalize the Romani people like contagious, or like not good citizens that go to, I don't know, a lot of fake news, a lot of bad informations against the Roma people are starting to increase the anti-Gypsyism and attacks against the Roma people from the police, or sometimes institutional, that put one apartheid for the Roma people. This is something that we live in this moment in Europe, more in the times of COVID. More in the times of COVID. In the times of COVID, that increased incredible the anti-Gypsyism. And 2, the programs for the Roma people don't have money, or it's not possible because it's not presential. This is something very bad for the group, because the young people have minus possibilities for have something, for have some training course, for job, for a lot of different questions. Really, the question of the COVID is something very important and dangerous in these times for the Roma people. This is more or less what I want say you about this question of the diversity, but I want that you have sometimes, if you want, ask me something, or is something that is not good explained for me. And another time, I'm so sorry, because English is not my native language, and I hope that you can understand all that I say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gomez, for a very educative and informative lecture. You really touched upon the diversity, and which is you touched upon 3 main elements. That is the territory where the Roma community is residing, that impacts on their diversity, as well as the profession. And you also gave us very positive thoughts that the future looks bright, in a sense that young people who are educated, they are, and the women, they are participating in activities to upgrade the life of the Romas in different communities. Especially in Spain, you said that there are 3 deputies in the government, which is very good. And we hope that similar exercise or similar upliftment of Romas in various countries continues. Now, I'll open the floor for comments, questions, and answers. So anybody would like to start? Yes.
सच्चे हैं सब शुक्र है सब शुक्र अच्छा होगा सब ठीक शुक्र वाह तो आप प्लीज बेटे की शादी
So who would like to start the question answers?
20-21
Punita ji?
21 को लेकर रहेगा ना 21 को शादी है बस आप 20 को जयपुर में हाँ जयपुर
May I ask a question?
Shyam ji, may I request you to mute yourself?
I have muted myself. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Mr. Sajde
May I ask a question, please?
Yes, Dr. Shyam Singh Shashi, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. May I know the gentleman? I don't know much about his academic qualifications, but I want to know from him whether has he got any contact with the Dr. Kokonaski from France, who has written a lot on Hindi, Punjabi, and Romani language. Does he have Hindi, Romani, and Punjabi? They are very close. But Sanskrit also. I don't know whether you have read about his contribution. Hello? Have you read? Do you know?
Dr. Mr. Gomez,
Yes.
would you like to react to this comment?
Dr. Koko. Have you heard
Okay.
his Hello, have you heard his name?
See, I heard it, yeah.
Have you heard his name? And
Yeah.
have you then have you any contribution by him regarding the togetherness, Hindi, Romani, and your other language or dialects, Roman dialects?
Yes, we have something like this in Paris. In Paris, we have in Alco that before Marcel Courtiade was a teacher from the Romani language, but it's in France, but we don't have in a lot of countries this possibility. For example, in Spain, it's not possible learning Romanes because we don't have teachers and we don't have any initiative for the part of the government for the protection of the Romani language, for example. And here in Spain, we don't have this. But in Paris, yes, we have INALCO that is dependent as the Institute for Oriental Language, and is dependent of the University of the Sorbonne in Paris. And we have the possibility in 3 years for to be a translator of Romani language, Romani French, English, or Romani Spanish, etc. We have this possibility, but it's something that is not in all the countries in Europe, and we are not considered like a national minority in all the countries. Because if we are considered like a national minority, in this point, the government need starting with some politicals of protection and diffusion of the Romani culture. But this is nothing normal in general in the European countries.
Thank you, Dr. Ambassador Manju Seth. You wanted to have any comment or question?
Yeah, I just wanted to, which I've now put on the chat.
Yes, Ambassador Manju Seth.
Yes, I just wanted to ask that, you mentioned that the different EU community, I mean, the different Romani communities in the EU don't have much interaction with each other. And all of you have your own, don't even have much in common. But has any attempt been made by all the associations in each EU country to be in touch with each other, to contact each other, and to speak together, at least in one voice, against discrimination and in improving each in each country, your community's status?
This is the idea. in general, when we speak about the activists, the leaders, we don't have any problem. We recognize the other like a Roma. We don't have this problem.
Right.
The problem is when we going more vast, when we're going to the people in the streets, that
Right.
the life is really very short, because it's my neighborhood, my cousins, my city, and don't arrive to this abstraction like we are a nation, we have a language. In Spain, for example, we don't have the Romani language. It's very difficult. Take some sign of link with other Roma communities, you know, and sometimes we need work, not only in this academical part that is very important, because we need produce these documents, these ideas, these thinkings, this knowledge, but too in this level of the people in the street.
Right.
That the people in the street understand, when I see other Roma from Romania is my brother. When I see one Roma from India is my brother.
Right.
We need starting to have this Romi-pen identity of Roma, to be that we are the same, and we need work in this route too. But sometimes, what is the problem with the Roma organizations in some countries? The situation is really bad sometimes, and we need work in the assistential things.
Right.
For the food, for the water, for the very simple and very first necessities.
Yes.
And we don't have so much time to be more abstract in some actions, you know. Sometimes these little organizations working for something very simple, have water in the city, and don't have time for starting to thinking, okay, we are from India, okay, we need starting to make this big brotherhood. And it's something that sometimes only the people that is privileged, like me or like you, because we are educated, because we have the time for thinking, for explaining, we have this possibility. Is good that we've had this possibility, that I don't think in never speaking with one woman from India that know something about Roma, or the other people that know a lot of things about Roma people, but the Roma people here in Europe sometimes don't arrive. It's something very surprising and very nice for me, have this this image of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
May I ask a very brief question, please?
Yes.
My name is Chandrasekhar.
Please, go ahead.
I'm from Hyderabad, India.
Huh?
Mr. Gomez, it has been a wonderful presentation, and we know many new things about Roma community spread over. And what I started thinking during the course of your presentation is that they're spread all over Europe and perhaps many other countries. And as you spread, you are also minorities in most of these European countries, as Madam Ambassador was mentioning. And when you become minorities, there's always a danger being absorbed, assimilated by the major cultures. So you are in Spain. I'm sure there's a huge influence of Spanish culture on your Roma community there. And as a result, there may be, you know, the demography of the Romanis may be reducing, in the sense they will mix up with the other communities, and gradually, because Romani being a smaller community, the whole idea of their continuity and you know, as a larger group becomes a great you know, uncertainty. So do you think there's a lot of mixing, and the Romanis are slowly losing their cultural identity, or there is a strong organization to hold them together, not only in a country like Spain, and also other countries? You know, this is my brief observation. Thank you. It has been a marvelous presentation.
Thank you very much. Okay, really, it's difficult, the question of identity, of what is the signs of identity that we need conserved. What is the limit? In what point we are starting to be assimilated? This is something when reflection, what they need to take very much in consideration. Because sometimes the people thinking that this is one debate that we have a lot of times. What is important for me in the culture, for example? I think we have one part that's in the culture that is that don't change, some parts. But after we have another part that is circumstantial. It's for the historical moment. The question of the women have more big or more short clothes. This is something is historical. This is not essential in the culture.
Yeah.
We need to make this differentiation. And sometimes the people don't have this capacity of abstraction for identifying what is important in the culture, what is something circumstantial or historical, or part of my self-prejudice. Because refuse to be machista with the women is not cultural. It's something that is universal. It's the patriarchal. We need fighting against the patriarchal.
Yeah.
But it's not only for the Roma culture, it's for all the cultures.
All right. Yeah. Yeah.
Or refuse of the people with a different orientation. This is not cultural. This is something historical, circumstantial, or part of your prejudice, but it's not cultural. If we need to do this distinction, what is really cultural about my social organization, my values, these values that we for the Romani people is the old people, that is like a bibliothèque, this respect that we have because we are Roma, this solidarity is because we are Roma, and I see another Roma that have some necessity, I need go for help, because this is for me is something essential in the culture. But these other things is, if you smoke or not smoke, if your cloth is more short or more big, this is something for me very really stupid for take in consideration like a culture.
Right. I hope the Romas will be able to continue with their special identity, that special part which is not changing, and continue with that and connect it with other European countries, which will help a lot to connect with each other and connect with back with India too. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Ambassador Sachdeva, may I? May I, Ambassador Sachdeva, may I just?
Professor Arora.
Thank you very much. First of all,
go ahead.
my compliments to Mr. Gomez. I have heard him. And the good thing is that he has exhibited a lot of positivity and pragmatism, in his address. It's a fact that the Roma community has been facing prejudices and has been shown in the poor light. But despite that fact, he has come out with some very positive suggestions, especially, the youth and educating the youth and the political processes also. So in that context, I am reminded of, our own Indian diasporic community, which went in the 19th and 20th century. And Mahatma Gandhi, whose 150th birth anniversary we celebrated 2 years ago. So his mantra always to that community whenever he went, and for most of that time, India was subjugated, colonized. So he always used to say and give two mantras to the community, that he said, educate your youth. And second is that participate in the political process. So I think that mantra holds good for our own Roma community also. And in that context, I believe that our own efforts at, our own center for Roma studies and cultural relations, we have been trying for providing, impressing upon the government to provide special scholarships to, Romani students who may come here for the studies. And the other thing that we are working on, as Secretary of ARSP, I can say, is the sensitizing our own university students about the Roma community. So we are in the process of devising some, short courses in which our university students, we can, kind of give them some introduction to these subjects, because for the unfortunate part is that even within India, not many people are aware of, who Roma are. Many feel that, if you come from Rome, you are Roma. So that part, that sensitization also has to be there. So with that few words and comments, I thank once again Mr. Gomez and assure him that on behalf of Antarashtriya Sahyog Parishad and of course under the chairmanship of Ambassador Rajesh Sachdeva, we will continue to work in whatever ways we can, do with connecting with the universities and with the community, with the Roma community. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time. Thanks.
Can I ask something, please? Two things I would like to give my observation. A, whatever Gomez has said, I think
we are not able to hear you, sir. We are not able to hear you.
Ahora.
Professor Gautam, you are on mute.
yeah,
Kindly
no,
unmute.
but I did not do it, went out automatically. So first of all, I was telling that, the Roma community is doing their best in many countries in their own way, inverted commas, in their own ways, because they are not united all. Formerly, there used to be the world conferences where all the people would come and they talk their issues, but that has become a little less. Second thing which I want to say, that if there is a some sort of Romanic association, a strong association in all the countries, then they can fight as an ethnicity for the demands from the governments, which is not there. That's one thing. Second thing is to Ambassador Sachdeva, I would like to say, Indian embassies, whether it's a Scandinavian countries or the Central European countries or even Eastern European countries like Yugoslavia, etc., they are not embassies. They are not interested in the Romas at all. And this is another thing. How can you contact the India within the history with the Romanic people when there is from the official point of view, there are no connection. There's nothing. I know I have been here more than 50 years and I have been working on the Romas. I have worked in India also. So something should be done. It's not question of talking that we should do this, we should do that. No, there should be a sort of way of working where the thing should come out properly. I mean, it's just like Indian overseas, or what we say, the Pravasi. Now, I was telling last time, and I think Professor Chandrasekhar does agree with me, there are two things which have to be worked out. And that is connected to the home where the Romans are, the Romas are born. That is their home. But the home is not accepting them. This is another problem. And second thing is belongingness. What is the belongingness? Do they belong to Europe? Do they belong to India? I mean, that's also not there. So it hinders their identity formation. It hinders their whole idea, what they are. They have been fighting right from the Second World War, even earlier. I mean, once you go to the areas where the Roma people are living, people would say, don't go there because they are dangerous people. I mean, this is all nonsense because they are not at all dangerous people. It was one of the biggest things which India government did, and I think the same idea has come also here, that the so-called the gypsies or Banjaras or so many communities are in India. They were considered criminal tribes. I mean, all these ideas should be removed and only we can do it. But there's one more thing which I would like to say. We should give vocational training to the Roma children or Roma youth, and we should also give them a promotion to come to the university, write researches about their own people, and then could be done. So, I mean, there are so many things which could be done. Research is always nice, but you know, Sorbonne is one university, but that's also not working. I tell you very frankly. Netherlands, Germany, not a single university is doing anything on the Roma community. Why? I mean, this is my question. One side is a contradiction. One side they say humanitarian ideas, we have to help each other, we have to be tolerant, but the tolerance is only among themselves, not for the Roma, not for other minorities. I mean, there's so many things. Sorry, I'm not a speaker, so I'm not speaking, but I'm giving some of my ideas to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think that you say a lot of things that is very important in your speech. Okay, we need to take positions. We need to be proud what we are. And we need starting to be citizens and participate in the countries, participate in education, participate in political, participate in all levels, because we are citizens and we need to be present in this in the society that we live. Okay, but it's something difficult. It's something difficult. One thing is what I say that we need to do. Another thing is what is the circumstances for do this. First, for example, when I want to be in politica, first, it's not so much Roma people that arrive to political because thinking that the political is something for the gacho, for the people that is not Roma. But when we are starting or we have some interest for participating in politica, we need to be very, very clear and see very well all. Why? Because we come to be utilized for the people. Sometimes, okay, we are not racist. We're going to work and take one Roma people, do the photography, put in the journal. Okay, this is all the work intercultural that this political party or this institution do. The picture for put in the journal. We need all the times to be very relaxed in what I go to participate and for what I go to participate in this. Because diversity is something difficult, but it's something that is fashion sometimes for the image of the organization, of the image of the institutions. I don't want to be guacamayo for the pictures of the people. I want the real rights. This is something difficult because too, when you are starting to be in the political party, for example, you are not considered like a possible person that is can to be in a responsibility, in political responsibility. We are all the times in the second position, in the third position, in the position that is not possible that you arrive to have a real power or real possibility for discussing or debate about yourself future. Because this is one of the things with the Roma people. All the people speak about the Roma, all the people decide for the Roma people, but never the Roma people is invited and taken in consideration. This is the problem all the times with the majority society. We need all the times to be fighters for say, okay, no, I am not ignorant. No, I am here. No, I need this exactly. No, I don't go to do the picture with you because you don't do anything for the Roma people. You know, this is one part for me of the self-esteem, like a people. Now, in what I go to participate, in what I don't go to participate. And sometimes the problem of the money, of the problem of the visibility is very big. And when you have these TV realities, these people that is poor go to these TV realities. These TV realities is ridiculous for the Roma people, because they put images of the Roma people like exaggerations, the things that is out of the context, that give a very bad image and very idiot image about the Roma people. But you have the Roma people that participate in this. What is the problem? The ignorance, poverty and ignorance. This is the problem. If we don't fighting the poverty and the ignorance, it's very difficult that we have one political class Roma, one intellectual class Roma, one empresaries Roma, or factories that is diriged for Roma. This is the problem. We have all the time the difficulties for arrive to something very simple that all the people arrive.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gomez. And reacting to what Professor Gautam said, I would like to mention that yes, we are trying to reach out to our embassies all over the world to explore and connect with the Roma communities in the countries where they are. And we hope that with time, things may improve. And now I see that Dr. Jasrotia, you wanted
Yes.
to ask a question or comment?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I just first of all, I just
Please,
want to
the
thank
floor is yours.
everyone. Yeah. I just want to thank everyone because this is for the first time I'm hearing about Roma, and it was really, really wonderful to hear about Roma community and all. As the one of our participant also talk about that. For him, Roma means who. For Indians, obviously, Roma means who is from Rome. Even for me, it was like that only. So it was really wonderful to hear you, sir. I have, since my work is on this language thing, I just want to know, because since last 60 years, there are 230 languages vanished, as you know, from whole of, because we know that there are approximately 7,000 to 6,500 languages in the world. So is there anything, is there any danger to the Roma language, or what is there any problem in that also? I just want to know because I'm curious about that. Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, the next 5 of November is the International Day for the Romani language.
Okay.
In Spain, before, we don't do anything, but in this moment, we're starting to have more activity for this day, okay? For example, the next week, I go to Barcelona for make a ceremony, an event about the Romani language. Why? Because we're starting to have a lot of Roma migrants. These people speak Romanes.
Okay. Because I know, because wherever you go, you find that the local influence is more than the original, I just want to know either that still there is originalities there or what.
What is my idea, and the idea of other Roma leaders, is starting to do links with the Roma migrants communities, because sometimes the Roma from the country and the Roma migrants don't have so much contacts and have a lot of prejudice for each other,
Yes.
One of the things that we need work is first this communication for these different communities, migrants and autochthones, okay? This is one of the things. The other thing for me that is very important in the question of the Romani language is do like Arabic, for example. In Arabic, you have the people that speak in Morocco, in Algeria, in a different countries, and have self-dialect. But for the communication in the university, in the journals, and all the things, is Fusa. It's one Arabic that is official Arabic for writing, for institutions, etc. For Al Jazeera, for example. but we need to do something similar in Romanes. The person that is starting to do something about this is Marcel Courtiade, that did 1 year ago. But this person used the phonetical alphabet for don't disturb the phonema, the phoneme, and use this phonetical alphabet for writing, okay, and starting to make one standardization of the Romanes for arrive to this official Romanes for use in general. I think this is important. Make one unification minimal for the institution, for the universities, for produce elements, for produce articles, for do this more near of the people, that the people have this possibility, you know.
Yeah, because the identity, the language which you spoke is the identity of Roma people. So it should, I mean, the focus should be on that also, because it also connects. Language connects people. So since I'm from Jammu and Kashmir, see, so it was not known to me about, Roma, this thing. This was really, really, really good experience with, to hear you. Thank you very much for wonderful, wonderful, lecture and this, presentation. Thank you very much. Yes.
Now I see Mr. Julian. Would you like to have your question, please?
Is not a question, but complete something I wanted to add to answer to Dr. Yasrotia. Sorry for the mispronunciation of your name. Sorry. Yes, the real is the real of losing the Romani language is very real, and I can give you with the perspective of the Romania case, where is living in Romania is living the most numerous Roma minority with the most diverse subgroups of Roma, with various dialects of Roma, but with the same roots. And most of the Roma language speakers in Romania are fully understanding each other, or they are fully understanding in with other Roma from other countries, because of the common vocabulary, the core language of Romani language, which is spoken by most of the subgroups. And here in Romania, we have experienced 5 centuries of slavery, followed by a traumatic experience of the Holocaust. After that, the assimilation, the forced assimilation policies during the communist times. Yet the Romani language is still spoken today. I myself coming from a family who unfortunately was assimilated. Even though I understand 50% of what is spoken by my peers, I didn't have the chance to learn to speak at home or in the school, even though after 1999, in early 90s, actually Professor Gheorghe Sară, which is a Gage, a non-Roma scholar, was trying to standardize the Romani language so that most of the Romani dialects to be unified in a standardized language, written language, by developing dictionaries, lots of handbooks, and lots of training courses for Romani language, so that in Romania we have a fortunate case that we are we have almost 3 decades of continuous efforts of preserving and continuing to teach the Romani language in Romania. This was just a small completion to what Demeter was saying, and if this will help Sonia, I'll be glad. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your supplements. Thank you very much. It was really nice.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, Dr. Punita ji, would you like to raise your question?
Yeah, hi, Dimitrio. I read that you are with the COE, with the Council of Europe, and I'm curious about the relationship between the COE and the EU, and especially in relation to the policy initiative that was taken a year ago in October last year, and the policy for inclusion and participation. So how does the Council of Europe interact with that? Do you have a different agenda, or do you have synergy with this agenda? Can you explain how that works?
Yeah, good. Council of Europe is something very interesting, like an institution here in Europe, because it's the most critical and the most fighter. Why? Because it's consultative. Don't take decisions. And these people in Council of Europe is very progressive and do the good info, the good reports about what is the situation in the different countries, what is the situation of the Roma people. And for me, the methodology of Council of Europe is very participative. For me, I speak about my experience because when I started to have the contact with Council of Europe, I am young. I have 25 years or something like this. And we are starting with this youth organization, and we have the support of the Council of Europe for do this organization. In general, we have a good relation with Council of Europe. European Union is another thing. European Union is the people that take the political decisions and have the money. These people is a little bit different. The relation with the European Union is more difficult to arrive to European Union than the Council of Europe. In European Union, for example, for me, it's something that is very important and the people don't do in European Union is the control of the money that do for the Roma communities. Because sometimes the government don't use this money for the Roma communities or use this money for the repression of the Roma communities. This is something that the European Union don't have the control, don't do control about this. If we have a lot of money that is for the Romani people that after nobody take in the governments because don't present the projects for take this money. This is the difference for the European Union and the Council of Europe. With the Council of Europe, you have the Human Rights Commissary and do a very good articles and reports about what is the situation of the Roma people around Europe. But the problem is, okay, it's very nice, the report. The politician receive this report in her hands. He after put inside of, I don't know. Because Council of Europe is consultative. Okay, sometimes can do pressure, but it's not exactly the most powerful institution in Europe. In other lines, in this moment, I think we have only two deputies in the European level that is Roma. I think we have only two. One is Lidia Jaroka, that working for a right party is not so much nice for me. And we have another, I think we have only two representatives in European Union, that is Roma. But in general, we don't arrive to this level in general. Another thing that is important in the question of the actions in the European Commission is the control of the hate speech in the media, and do some monitoring each year for now what is the level of the hate speech. One of the factors that investigate is the question of the anti-Gypsyism that is very present in the Facebook, Instagram, and all the things. But this is Council of Europe is more easy and more combative, and European Union is more, it's not easy, European Union. And we don't use all the possibilities that we have in European Union too.
I mean, you're trying to help the same people, so it would be nice if there was synergy and, you know, togetherness in some of the actions.
We have some campaigns.
There's a Romney from Germany who wanted to add something.
I'm sorry?
We have a Romney from Germany who said in the chat he'd like to add something.
Yeah, in Germany, we have a women's group, very combative and very strong and very nice. I like very much the organization of women in Germany. I know.
Jita, you want to add something?
Sorry? Yeah.
If anyone else would like to ask any question or any comment before we close?
Yes, I have one question.
So I don't see any hands raising. So basically, in that case, yeah, please.
Thank you very much. Dimitri, I have one question. What do you find? What's your observation on the development of a modern international Roma movement and emergence of the idea of the activism are influencing the changes in Romani civic and cultural identity, which the community is undergoing worldwide? Are these, the activism, idea of activism and international movement decreasing or belittling the significance of the international Romani organizations, which are not, coming up to the expectation of the Roma community and Roma people across the world? So what your observation are these activism and movement belying the significance and the reflections of the international Romani organizations, either IRU or IRU or WROR or other organizations? So what's your take on this?
Okay, really, I don't have so much perception for this international organization. I think it's important and do some important work, but really, I don't have so much contact. I am one of the persons that is very active in my country and in the international level, but really, I don't have so much contact with IRU, for example, or with other international organizations. I think that sometimes when we arrive to some level, we're starting to be a little bit sector. We have the relation with other people that is in the same position, and sometimes we don't do so much changes in the people, and we need to renovate a little bit. This is one of the things. Another thing that I think is important is we're starting to have more international mind in this moment, because this possibility that have contacts with Facebook or with Twitter or with Instagram, I don't know, do the possibility that have a relation with other Roma people from other countries. than before is really impossible. We don't have knowledge about the other groups. It's very difficult starting to have a contact with Roma from other countries. But in this moment, for the question of the technology, it's more possible. We're starting to have more idea about this international movement. One example for me, the last examples that we have is the ELGTV European Roma platform that we have, and we have some meetings, 2 or 3 meetings in these last years. And this is possible because we have the high technology, because we are speaking about one collective that is discriminate inside of the other collective that have double or triple or more difficulties for to be organized, for have communications. But we arrive because we have these technologies. But I think that we need adapted more the structure of the organization to this reality, this technology that we have, and do some possibilities of participation more democratic or more I don't know. I think we need to starting to play with this communication technology groups, but never make the substitution of the real things, because sometimes what we have is some virtual activists that don't do anything in the real. If you put links, you are no activist. I'm sorry. You're one communicator, you are one people that make the diffusion of the news, but you are no activist. Activism is in real. When you go to the neighborhood, when you speak with the people, when you do some workshop, this is activism. The other is one part of the activism, but sometimes the people take this part like a totality of activism. And this is one danger in these times for me.
Now there is another, the participant, the Amdarita, that she wants to add something. Yeah, Amdarita, if you want to add something to this, to this lecture, you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can go ahead. You can speak.
We hope one question, no? It's something that needs.
Actually, there is another participant, Amdarita from Germany, that she wants to add something to your speech and to your lecture. So she is welcome. You can speak. You can go ahead and speak, Miss Amdarita. Are you able to hear us? Hello? Hello? I think there is a problem.
Since we Jamir, since we are unable to get in touch with her,
yeah,
so we may now close the conference. So I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our speaker, Mr. Demetrio Gomez, for a very informative and very educative lecture. And his presentation was followed with a very interesting questions and answer sessions where you really try to clarify doubts in the mind of various people and also give a broader views on various issues which they raised about language, about the Roma's diversity, about Roma. Because one has to understand that Romas have been able to keep their identity alive even after 1,000 years of their migration from India, which shows their resilience, their will to hold on to their core values, which you mentioned about the values of tradition, values of culture. So we really appreciate and commend that. Though, yes, as you mentioned, that they need to change, they need to adapt to new thinking and get involved more into the ways to improve the lifestyle and the image of the Romas within the countries where they live in. We really wish and hope that they will be able to do that. And from Antarashtriya Sahyog Parishad, as well as Center for Roma Studies and Cultural Relations, we'll be too happy to help them in any way possible. And we are trying to reach out to our embassies abroad, as well as to various governmental organizations with a request to start linking up with the Romas world over and try to see how we can help them in various ways, maybe providing scholarships to their students or providing fellowship, and even considering setting up of linkages with universities in Europe as well as in India for Roma studies. We really thank all the participants for their comments and their questions. We look forward to seeing you all in our future monthly conferences. Your participation means a lot, because today's the way you raise questions, the ways you made the comments and suggestions, these are always useful and welcome. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining. Once again, thanks to our speaker today, and looking forward to see you all next month for our next lecture. And also, we will appreciate you could let us know, because we issue a fortnightly newsletter covering news about Roma's activities in various parts of the world. Do tell us if you're not included in our mailing list. We'll be happy to include in our mailing list for the newsletter. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Now with this, we